Good evening, everyone. This is Jason Deese with the National Weather Service. We're not going to do a full-fledged webinar this afternoon, but did want to do a quick video briefing. Many of you saw the black ice email we sent out earlier. This is just going to detail some of that information. I know a lot of you are concerned about schools and such for tomorrow, so I thought we'd detail and outline what's going to happen specifically for you guys going forward. From the email, you can see the counties highlighted here. Most of North Georgia, stretching into Central Georgia along that I-85 corridor, the counties we're most concerned with. That's where the black ice potential is the highest. Now, you will have the highest potential starting in the north and going southward, but don't want to rule out any of these Atlanta metro counties at all, because temperatures will be falling below freezing and the precipitation will be moving out last during these Atlanta metro counties. So that's why they're included in this higher potential here. The graphic on the right here shows the temperatures. Those are the low temperatures expected tonight. I'm going to take you through hour by hour here in a second and show you how those temperatures are going to evolve. But we're also expecting the temperatures to rise above freezing tomorrow. I'll kind of detail that timeline as well. Also want to touch on some fog tonight, specifically freezing fog that we could have across the area that also could add to the matter. So a lot to cover here, so let's get through it. Starting off with current conditions. So if we look across far north Georgia here, we can see temperatures roughly in the upper 30s, 40s, some mid 30s over the northeast mountains there. We also have, you see in the greens and the blues, this is the light rain that's moving across. Still could be some mixed precipitation in this. We also have some isolated instances of the temperatures approaching freezing. Up in those northeast mountains again, so it could be some mixed precipitation through this evening, and I'll show you that here in a second and how that's going to evolve. But right now temperatures are above freezing. Atlanta metro lower 40s, so no immediate concerns right now for any black ice potential. I know some of you are wondering what's the difference between freezing rain maybe and black ice. Freezing rain is this light rain that falls, and if the temperatures were already freezing or below, then that would be freezing rain. Black ice is once this precipitation moves out, roadways remain wet, as do elevated surfaces, and then when we go below freezing, then those become ice covered. So a little bit of a difference there, but the result is the same, slick roadways. So take you through Department of Transportation. These are some of their sites showing excuse me, some of the roadway temperatures right now. It's hard to see, I know. Maybe I'll try to zoom in just a little bit on that one so you guys can see. But what's really going on here that you can see is temperatures are in the lower 40s. They started out in the upper 30s earlier this morning. They've risen throughout the day, which we typically see. But because of the wet roadways and the additional precip that we continue to see, they haven't been able to rise all that much, so only in the lower 40s. So it won't take much once that colder air starts rushing in for these roadway temperatures to start falling. So we'll be on the lookout for that. So let me take you through what we're expecting as far as the precipitation, because many of you across the metro and across North Georgia are already seeing some of that rain falling, and you're probably wondering what's going to happen related to it. So I'll take you through that. Here's the rain pretty much at the time right now. You can see this is the model forecast. It matches up pretty well with what we were seeing. Maybe doesn't stretch quite as far into the southern metro, but pretty close to what we're seeing in actuality from that earlier radar. If we go through time, I'll take you to roughly 9 p.m. You can see how already this axis of precipitation is shifting to the south. So one thing I do want you to note here, if you notice, if I go back in time a little bit, let's see, you'll start to see some of these blues show up here. That's some of that mixed precipitation that we could possibly see over those northeast mountains. So be on the lookout for that. And even as this precip spreads south, you'll see little splotches here. So it's not out of the question to see a little bit of light snow maybe mixing in with that rain from time to time. But that's not going to be the primary hazard, as when this precip moves through, we're still above freezing for these areas, so we should be okay. Cold air is going to be back up here and going to be rushing in behind the precipitation. So again, as we go through time, looking right around midnight here, we're already seeing that precip. It's already shifted into central Georgia here, moving into the Macon area. over towards Augusta there, you can see this precip. Generally light rain by the time it gets there, but of note across the metro in North Georgia, precip has moved out, but again, no real winds to come in to dry those roadways, so we could have residual moisture still on the roads. And then by the time we get to, say, 4 a.m., a lot of that precip is on out of the area. We don't really have to worry about the precipitation anymore, but we will have the cold air rushing in behind it, which I'm going to show you with the temperatures right now. So don't really spend too much time worrying about this precip. It's going to be those temperatures and that black ice that are the real concern. So here's 1 a.m. If you remember on the precipitation map, North Georgia is starting to get out of precipitation by around midnight, but that's when we start to see those temperatures fall to right around freezing across Trenton, Blairsville, and other places across the northern mountains. So there's not going to be a lot of time once that precip gets out of here and those cold temperatures start arriving. So I'll just take you through time with this. 2 a.m. below freezing, same areas, but it's starting to dip southward. As we get into 3 a.m., already down to 29 in Blairsville. So there is a difference when you get 32 versus when you get into those upper 20s. Once you get in those upper 20s, things are going to freeze very rapidly. So any moisture that's left on the roadways is going to freeze pretty rapidly in those upper 20s. Still across the metro, still okay, mid-30s by 3 a.m. Starts to change though along the I-20 corridor. Right around 4 a.m. you can see Carrollton's dropping to 32 by then. Atlanta Metro, don't get fooled too much because this is downtown. Anywhere around here you'll actually see temperatures starting to approach freezing by 4 a.m. and certainly in the northern suburbs of Atlanta, if not by 3 a.m., certainly by 4 a.m., starting to see those temperatures approach freezing. 5 a.m. again, below freezing, northern metro, even the metro will be freezing or below. Some of the normal cold pockets as it sneaks down into Coweta and western Fayette could also be looking at freezing temperatures by then. 6 a.m., look, we got upper 20s, Rome, Canton, upper 20s up across these areas, mid 20s over Blairsville, and then certainly around or below freezing for most of the metro. And that continues right on through 7 a.m. We're getting the sunrise pretty close, but notice the temperatures are still freezing or below. 8 a.m. is when we start to see our first little signs of warm up, especially along the I-85 corridor. It's really going to be for the metro and points southward between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. that we first start to see temperatures rise above freezing, but certainly a stranglehold on below freezing temperatures across the far northern tier, 24 still at Blairsville. 9 a.m., pretty much all areas in the Atlanta metro should be getting at or above freezing by then. Carrollton still hanging on at 32, one of our normally colder spots. And then above freezing by 10 a.m. It looks like just about everybody except for those pockets up in the northeast and the high peaks will be above freezing by 10 a.m. So we are looking for a fairly rapid rise in temperatures tomorrow. Just continuing this 11 a.m. Everybody should be okay by then, and certainly the warm up by noon. Most sites getting into the lower to mid 40s, so we should be good by, certainly be good by then, but first signs are going to be between that 8 and 9 a.m. time frame for rising above freezing for that metro, and then much later as you go north. Also wanted to point out that freezing fog I was talking to you about. If I go back in time a little bit, let's see. Here's one of the models that we use for analysis of fog. So it's really keying on this area along I-85 and Interstate 20, but I also want to say anywhere in these mountains here, usually in these peaks, we'll also get fog up there. And when those temperatures go below freezing, you can actually see that Blue Ridge, some of that starting to pop up. And then as we get into the overnight, we get more and more. And as the temperatures fall, the fog's going to increase. A little bit different than that black ice. The freezing fog tends to form on elevated surfaces, handrails, things like that. It will see accretion on cars, things like that. Not as much the roadways, but we'll have the black ice to worry about for the roadways. So it's just a multitude of things to worry about tonight. Certainly not what we would call a winter storm worthy, but at the same time we've seen these instances of black ice cause lots of problems across the local area. So if I go back, let's give you guys one more look here. Just wanted to remind you, if we could go to our webpage, weather.gov/Atlanta or /FFC. If you scroll down, if you want to click on your area, so say I'm concerned with northern Fulton, I can click on there and that'll take me to the forecast. If I scroll down and look to the right, I'll see hourly weather forecast. I can click on there and that'll give me a temperature trace right here showing the times. So you can actually click what you want on. So if I want to take off the dew point and wind chill, I could and resubmit that. And now all I have is the temperature, and so it shows that temperature dropping 34 at 3 a.m., right around freezing at 4 a.m. as we talked about, bottoming out at about 30 degrees close to 3 a.m. So I know that's hard to see a little bit. I don't know if I zoomed in. Maybe that focus is a little bit better, but in any case, make sure you go to weather.gov/Atlanta and it'll give you information on that. So hope this helps for tonight. If we have any other updates, we'll send another one tonight, but give us a call if you have any questions or concerns. Thanks so much.